In the rap world, there aren't many names that spark as much power or quiet fear as Jay-Z. Behind the fame, the money, and the empire sits a deeper story told only by the people who watched him rise. Some call it brilliance. Others say it's pure manipulation. But the truth about Jay-Z is far more chilling than either side admits. Rap legends are finally opening up about him. And you know what's crazy? When you've dominated the game for more than 30 years, people don't just admire you, they dissect you like you're a case study. And that's exactly what's happening with Jay-Z right now. This is a man who didn't just survive hip-hop, he reconstructed the entire blueprint while everyone else was still reading page 1. But here's the part that makes this story so gripping. Jay-Z isn't only respected by fans or the press. No, that's surface level. We're talking about the architects of hip-hop itself, the pioneers, sitting down and explaining why, in their own words, this man is a straight-up monster in the industry. And it starts with something you might not expect. When most people think monster in hip-hop, they picture the loudest, the wildest, the most reckless. But according to the legends, Jay-Z's monstrous side comes from something entirely different. His ability to remain relevant across multiple eras.
But it's a challenge to me. And it makes me look at artists like Jay-Z, who have, over the years, he's been rapping since back in the day, and he was able to stay relevant for so many years and, constantly reinvent himself to stay on top of the times.
Think about that. Not someone who had a couple of good summers, not a trending moment, a career stretching from the mid-1990s all the way to 2025. Constant reinvention, constant evolution, always at the front of not just rap, but culture. And this isn't one person hyping him up. Multiple heavyweights in the game have said the exact same thing. As one artist put it perfectly, the talent isn't just being a great rapper. Jay-Z clearly checks that box. The real monster ability is knowing how to move through every era like he was built for it.
When you think of Jay-Z, you're not going, I ain't heard of Jay-Z since 1999. You're not thinking that. You're like, oh, Jay-Z, I've recently heard about him, things that have been going on. And that is a talent in itself, staying relevant.
Let's break this down because it's important. Most rappers, honestly, most creators in any field, have an expiration date. They blow up, enjoy their moment, and then the culture shifts past them. But Jay-Z? This man has stayed relevant from Reasonable Doubt in 1996 straight through to 2025. Nearly 3 decades at the top. That's not luck. That's not talent alone. That's something else entirely. And here's where we get to what truly separates him from everybody else. According to people who've worked with him up close, we've got some incredible insight from someone who learned directly under him. What they revealed is honestly jaw-dropping.
What I noticed about Hov immediately is that he moves by strategy and not emotion. And I respect that because that takes a lot of mind training. Like, you gotta train your mind out there. Spaz out.
Let that marinate for a second. Strategy over emotion. In a genre built on raw feeling, quick reactions, and keeping it real no matter the cost, Jay-Z built an empire by thinking 3 moves ahead, like a grandmaster playing chess against the entire industry. And this mindset isn't just for business meetings. It bleeds into every corner of his career. Look at his iconic beef with Nas from 2001 to 2005. Most rap beefs end careers or end lives. But Jay-Z flipped a brutal rivalry into a business power play. By October 27, 2005, during his I Declare War concert, the two officially squashed it. A year later, Nas signed to Def Jam, Jay-Z's own label. That's not a truce. That's transforming your rival into an ally. Even Nas himself has praised that strategic genius. In 2025, he reflected on Takeover, saying, "I respected how he came at me, strategic, no low blows. It elevated both of us." And here's the twist. Jay-Z isn't just a monster on his own. He's building a new generation of monsters by passing down the blueprint. The legends who've learned from him talk about the way he shares knowledge with nothing but respect and a system so sharp, it's practically a secret school of power.
Jay was my mentor before I ever signed to him, and now that I signed to him, it's just a blessing to be able to hit him for advice and get that real 20 years of experience or however long you've been in the game. You know what I mean? It's priceless.
This part is wild because it shows just how deep Jay-Z's influence runs. He's not just an artist, he's basically a living playbook for success. Rappers study him long before they ever shake his hand. They analyze his moves, his strategy, the way he navigates the business. And the moment they finally get in the same room with him, the learning curve shoots straight through the roof.
Right? So it's like when you see somebody doing something, like when you see a billionaire, you know what I'm saying? It's like you ain't just talking about, like, this is not a dream. Like, I know somebody who started out just like me, who a billionaire. I see him. I see him working. I go to his office. I went to his house. Like, I see this with my own eyes. You can't lie to me and tell me this ain't possible.
This is power.
This is bigger than just money. Jay-Z isn't simply rich. He's proof of possibility. He's living evidence that someone who came from the bottom can create generational wealth. And that ripple effect on culture, on artists, on kids watching him from the sidelines, you can't measure that. But here's what makes him a true monster in the business world. He didn't get the bag and disappear. He didn't cash out and chill in some villa miles away from the industry. No. According to the legends, he's still working harder than artists half his age. Jay-Z is at a point where he doesn't have to lift a finger. Billionaire status locked in, legacy carved in stone, and he's still grinding. That hunger, that drive long after he's already won, that's the monster energy, the cultural architect. And now we dive into the thing that really sets him apart, his vision, not just for himself, but for the entire landscape of hip-hop. This is where it gets fascinating, because the legends aren't describing just a top-tier rapper or a business genius. They're describing someone who reshaped the entire system for everyone who followed.
Look around and you say, okay, how can we duplicate this? The reason we created Rock Nation was to be able to say, okay, this is all the information we gathered. Here it is, Rihanna. Here it is, Kanye. You know, whomever, right? Like, and just like here's the information. So if we achieve those goals at 36, you do it at 26.
Do you realize the scale of what's being said here? Jay-Z built Rock Nation not merely as a label, but as a knowledge transfer machine. He's literally trying to pack decades of lessons into a structure that lets the next generation hit milestones in their 20s that took him until his 30s. That's not just success, that's cultural engineering. Jay-Z isn't just building an empire, he's designing a legacy on a completely different wavelength. And here's something the younger generation might not fully grasp, but the legends absolutely do. His ability to connect every era of hip-hop. The OGs who remember him grinding in Brooklyn respect him. The new wave studies him like a case study in success. But even with all that generational friction, the legends keep saying the same thing. Jay-Z's impact goes way beyond any single era. Nas has said it multiple times. Hip-hop has to thank God for Jay-Z. He's called Jay the one who taught the culture how to own their masters and build empires. And remember, this is coming from Nas, the same man who went toe-to-toe with Jay-Z in one of the most iconic rap beefs ever. That isn't casual respect. That's acknowledging historical significance. Now, one of the wildest parts of Jay-Z's monster reputation is how he managed something almost nobody in hip-hop ever pulls off: keeping real street credibility and becoming a billionaire mogul. Normally, you're one or the other, hardly ever both. But the legends describe Jay as the guy who carried the streets straight into the boardroom without losing either side of his identity. One artist shared what it was like visiting Jay-Z's home, and the details were surreal. But what hit even harder came afterward, a conversation where Jay opened up and revealed something raw. That bit of vulnerability, admitting that even with all the money and success, he still feels like the same kid from Brooklyn, that's exactly why people connect with him. Even with billions, he never let go of where he came from, and the legends see that authenticity clearly. There's another thing people don't talk about enough: Jay-Z's ability to break down complicated business ideas in a way the streets instantly understand. Everyone who's learned from him says this might be his most overlooked gift. Jay isn't just intelligent, he's a translator. He takes the language of Wall Street and flips it into something the block can relate to. He turns corporate strategies into street analogies. That's rare, and it's a huge reason why he's such an effective mentor. But before the deals, before the billions, at his core, Jay-Z is an artist, and the legends have some incredible stories proving it. Kanye West told a now famous story from his early days working with Jay-Z.
Like, play the next beat, play the next beat. I played another beat. She listened to it like, yo, man, you a soulful dude. And everything that Hov is saying is like in stone. Like, I will never forget none of these words, because I'm off the train. I'm from Chicago. I got $10 in my pocket right now, and I'm just having the opportunity to play these beats.
The emotion.
You can feel the emotion in that moment. A young producer from Chicago with barely $10 in his pocket gets in the studio with Jay-Z and is completely stunned. And then it gets even crazier. 2 weeks later, the result of that session became The Blueprint, one of the most acclaimed albums in rap history. That project changed Kanye's life forever. But Jay-Z's monster status shows itself in another major area: ownership and artist rights. The legends talk about this with almost sacred admiration because they know how massive it was for the culture. There's an unbelievable story about how Jay-Z secured the rights to sample Hard Knock Life from Annie. Let that sink in. Jay didn't just clear a sample, he negotiated it in a way that opened the door for every hip-hop artist who followed. That's not just good business, that's cultural stewardship. And speaking of opening doors, the legends have endless stories about Jay's generosity. Things he never put on blast, like when he bought 100 copies of Nipsey Hussle's Crenshaw mixtape for $100 each, backing an independent artist at a critical moment. Or the countless private calls he made to artists going through rough patches, offering guidance when they needed it most. That's mentorship. That's leadership. That's knowing that sometimes what an artist needs isn't a check. It's wisdom from someone who survived the fire and came out stronger. And that brings us to the core of Jay-Z's legacy: fearlessness. Not just physical fearlessness, but the boldness to make power moves others wouldn't even attempt.
If Jay-Z would have did a song with Ja Rule,
He would have got it like everybody else. He stayed clear of that motherfucker.
if Jay-Z
Yeah.
would have jumped on the track with Ja, you would have went at Jay? Honestly,
Who do you think Jay-Z is? This is crazy. Look.
Think about what's really being said here. This is 50 Cent, one of the boldest, most confrontational figures hip-hop has ever produced, basically admitting that Jay-Z understood the game so well, he never left an opening to get hit. That's not fear. That's calculated brilliance. Their relationship has been complicated since 1999, when 50 joked about robbing Jay on How to Rob and Jay clapped back on Takeover. Yet through all of it, they've managed what 50 once described as a business-first relationship built on competitive respect. Now, here's where things take an interesting turn. As these legends age, many of them have grown to appreciate just how massive Jay-Z's accomplishments really are. The competitive spark is still there, but now it's mixed with understanding. Take Eminem. In 2024, on his track Toby, M questioned how Jay could be considered the GOAT when M washed him on their collab. But in 2025, he clarified on a podcast, the respect is real, but facts are facts about the verses. That's the top-tier dynamic. You honor the greatness, but you still defend your crown. And let's be clear, no matter how many business headlines Jay-Z makes, he's still viewed as one of the deadliest pens in rap. Even younger artists who weren't around for his prime can't deny the skill. They'll praise Kendrick, sure, but they still acknowledge that Jay operates in an elite lyrical lane. Now, let's get into one of the most iconic parts of his myth, Jay-Z's ability to craft layered, complex bars without ever writing a word down. According to legends like Lil Wayne, this completely shifted how they approach their own craft. Imagine that. One of the greatest lyricists of the next generation switched his entire creative process because of Jay-Z. That's cultural influence you can't measure with charts or plaques. But it's not always hero worship. Jay-Z has made some controversial business calls, and the legends don't shy away from mentioning them. There's a revealing story about why Lil Wayne never signed with Rockefeller.
Going down the street, no top, people trying to jump in the car, so I felt it was only right to call him. I called them out of respect, like, yo, I was talking to Wayne, just letting you know, boom, boom, boom. So after that, I think we received a letter at our office for like torturous interference. Whoa. And I was like, whoa.
Is it sports? They do that?
It was like, whoa. And it just all went from there. But
This moment shows another side of Jay. His respect for existing relationships in the industry, but also the messy legal webs that can shut down even major deals. And here's something that sets Jay-Z apart from most artists who reach his level. He never lost that hunger. Even as a billionaire, he moves like he's still fighting for a spot. That trend-setting instinct, that ability to see where culture is shifting and get there early, is why he stays relevant decade after decade. But the legends also highlight Jay-Z as a symbol of possibility, not just for what he did, but for what he made possible. From everything they say, it's clear. Jay-Z is living proof you don't need conspiracies or secret societies. You need skill, strategy, and relentless grind. Another overlooked part of his monster legacy is his ability to flip beefs into alliances. His battle with Nas ended in collaboration. His tension with Jim Jones ended with Jones signing to Roc Nation in February 2017. Even his 15-year feud with Prodigy of Mobb Deep ended privately around 2012, 5 years before Prodigy's passing in 2017. These aren't just reconciliations. They're strategic power moves that build networks, eliminate friction, and strengthen Jay's reach. And as hip-hop evolves, so does Jay-Z's influence. Recently, competing casino bids between Brooklyn and Queens brought back a playful version of the old Jay-Z versus Nas rivalry, but Nas just laughed, calling that beef ancient history. So, after hearing the legends break it down, why do they call Jay-Z a monster? Because it's never just one thing. It's the mix. The foresight, the artistry, the business genius, the mentorship, the trend setting, the longevity. From LL Cool J crediting him for transforming Def Jam to Nas saying hip-hop should thank God for Jay-Z, the message is consistent. This man flipped the entire industry on its head. He proved you can come from the streets and still dominate boardrooms. He showed you can be a lyrical assassin and a billionaire mogul. He turned beefs into alliances and obstacles into opportunities. And that's why, after all the rivalries, all the controversies, all the decades, the legends still talk about Jay-Z with that mix of competition and admiration. Because deep down, they all know he didn't just play the game, he rewrote it. So tell me, was Jay-Z's rise pure skill, or is there something deeper behind it? Drop your thoughts below. For more videos like this, click the next card on your screen.